With both the men and women's basketball teams set to be on the court this weekend, it won't be a quiet weekend at the PMAC. Head coach Matt McMahon and the men's basketball team will be tipping off this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. against Kansas State, who is 7-2. The LSU men's basketball team is 5-3, and last year these guys went up against Kansas State in an apparently slow start by the clock operator at John Gray Gymnasium in the final 4.7 seconds of the game, potentially cost LSU a chance to tie and force overtime. This gave Kansas State a 61-59 victory over the Tigers in the championship game of the Cayman Islands Classics. This loss dropped LSU from 5-1 on the season and kept K-State undefeated at 6-0, and the Wildcats ended up going to the Elite Eight. So it's safe to say this game will be an interesting game to see a more developed men's team on the court handle a rematch with Kansas State. Head coach Kim Mulkey and the women's basketball team, who is 8-1 this season, will be tipping off as well this weekend on Sunday at 2 p.m. inside the PMAC against UL Lafayette. For this episode, I have an exciting interview from Jeff Palermo, the news and sports director of the Louisiana Radio Network, with the editor of Tiger Rag, Todd Horn, sitting down with the head coach of the men's basketball team, Matt McMahon, to go over how these guys have been preparing for the matchup this weekend. After that, I'll be sitting down with the assistant editor of Tiger Rag, William Weathers, to talk about the women's basketball team, what he's seen from the team so far this season, and his thoughts on this weekend. But before we jump into that, I just want to thank our sponsor, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars. That's pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267.
Hey neighbors, we're not that far from where you are. Make that short drive to Pawpaw's Campers in Picayune and see our Wildwood, Catalina, Sportsman, and Zinger trailer lines and our Rockwood and Heritage Glen fifth wheel lines. From Houma to Hammond, Biloxi to Jackson, and Mobile and Pensacola, we're not that far from where you are. Come and see us.
You're gonna love the way we deal. Pawpaw's Campers City and Picayune. You're gonna love the way we deal.
All right, we're back. Here's Jeff Palermo and Todd Horn with LSU men's basketball coach Matt McMahon.
All right, Jeff Palermo back with you, along with the editor for Tiger Rag magazine, Todd Horn. And joining us now, it's the head coach for the LSU men's basketball team. It's Matt McMahon. Coach McMahon, thanks a lot for joining us here tonight. I would imagine maybe the PMAC is a little quiet. Even the practice facility, all your players should be studying hard, right, this week with finals?
I hope they're doing a good job there, but we just got off the practice floor. We got a few guys in here working out. But, we have some guys that are really close to their LSU degree, so we're definitely making sure we finish strong in the classroom here.
Hey, Coach, who is close to their degree right now? Do you mind telling us?
Yeah, Trey Hannibal is in great shape there to finish strong this spring, as is Imwani Wilkinson. Of course, we already have a couple grad transfers in Jordan Wright and Hunter Dean. So, really important that these guys finish strong this week. But it also gives us an opportunity on the basketball side of things, the biggest stretch in between games that we have once the season gets started up. So, obviously, there's some things we need to get a lot better at and have tried to be very intentional in doing so this week.
Well, Coach, you got a big one coming up on Saturday, and I guess before we sort of review where you are right now at 5-3, there's been some ups and downs. We could probably go into that a little bit more, but talk a little bit about Kansas State. It's sort of a rematch from I guess revenge may be a little bit of a factor headed into this big game on Saturday.
I don't look at it that way, but it is certainly a great opportunity for us to have a Power 5 opponent on our home court in early December. And I have great respect for them coming off their Elite Eight season. I think they have a really talented team. There's some of their areas of strength is their ability to pressure and force turnovers, and that's been an area of weakness for us over the last couple of weeks. And so certainly an area we have to clean up as we head into this great opportunity on Saturday.
So what I was referring to for the fans and listeners who may not know is last year in the Cayman Islands, right? It was the Cayman Islands. Am I wrong?
Correct.
Okay, figure. I just wanted, for some reason that didn't sound right when I said it. But so LSU is ahead of Kansas State most of the game. If I remember correctly, it was a very tight game. And then there was an inbounds play. They hit a shot, and there was an inbounds play, and LSU appeared to win it, but they had to revisit the clock, and there was all kinds of confusion, and ended up disallowing LSU's basket that would have won the game. Is that correct?
Yeah, pretty close. It was a tie game. We thought we had a defensive stop late. It was a loose ball on the floor, and the transfer from Florida, who ended up being All-American, picked it up and hit a fadeaway 17-footer with about 4.5 seconds to go to take the lead. We went the length of the floor. Trey Hannibal clearly got his shot off before the buzzer to tie it, to send the game to overtime. But when they went and reviewed it, they said the clock did not start on time, so they got a stopwatch out and said using the stopwatch, the basket was disallowed, and there are no do-overs. So never lost the game that way. It was painful, but is what it is, and we're moving forward to this opportunity here Saturday.
Coach, during this time, as you mentioned, it is final exams week. Easy for me to say. What are some of the facets of your game you're trying to work on? What needs the biggest improvement here? You got a very interesting stretch before you begin conference plays. We mentioned you got the big game against Kansas State. Alabama State is after that, and then you head over to Houston to take on Texas. So obviously some big-time opponents that you're going to be facing. What areas are you looking for the most improvement?
Yeah, Jeff, I think it's a critical stretch. I mean, 4 of the 5 games are on our home floor, with the 5th one being against the top 20 team on a neutral floor there in Houston against Texas. But, consistency is a huge thing. When you look on the defensive side of the ball, we're 13th in the country in 2-point defense. We're 7th in the country in steals. But then our 3-point defense and defensive rebounding has been poor. And so really working to try and clean that up and show improvement. I think with our size and athleticism, we should be a much better defensive rebounding team. On the offensive side of the ball, really the unforced turnovers has been our biggest Achilles heel throughout here. So trying to put more value on ball security. Overall, we had one atrocious shooting night from behind the 3-point line, but overall, field goal and percentages are solid on the year. But those unforced turnovers have been backbreakers for us.
Coach, you mentioned the turnovers, and generally one would think that points to a deficiency at point guard, but that's not really the case. So even though you're suffering from not having Jalen Cook on the floor like you had planned, and maybe you can give us an update on that if there is one. But Mike Williams III has really been a refreshing, a freshman, has really come a long way.
Yeah, Todd, he had his best offensive game of the year in the win on Friday. 15 points, was really efficient, 4 assists, only 1 turnover. Ultimately his ability to be impactful on winning has been huge. He has the best plus-minus score on the team. I think a lot of that's been a credit. He leads us in steals. His defensive effort at the head of our defense has been really good. So I think as he continues to get more and more experience, you'll see that continued improvement. But he was terrific in Friday night's win. And then, I don't have an update on the Jalen Cook, and it's very frustrating, Todd, to see all these players getting these waivers. He clearly meets the criteria. He's not one of these guys who's been at 3 schools in 3 years. He's coming back to the school he started at, which is 20 minutes from home. He meets every other criteria. I don't understand what the holdup is, but we'll continue to hope for a positive outcome in the very near future.
Coach, whenever this season, I'm sure it's been frustrating at times, but it's had to be at the same time. You've had probably looked at it and seen some things you really, really liked about the team. I mean, you intentionally reloaded this roster. You're definitely more of an athletic team. You mentioned the good defensive rankings in terms of the 2-point defense and the steals, the aggressive defense. It seems to me, and I don't want to oversimplify it, but it seems to me that a lot of this team runs through Will Baker right now in the post, whether it's the low post or the high post. It's like when you're having really good stretches or really good runs, Will Baker is at the core of that. Is that oversimplification right now?
I don't think so. I would agree with your assessment, and I think if you ran the stats on what Will has done in our wins versus our losses, you'll see a significant difference. I think his ability to score in the post is critical for us. I hope that will open up some better scoring opportunities from the perimeter. And really an area that I need to do a better job is getting him more looks from behind the three-point line. He's an elite three-point shooter. I think he can help us space the floor as well. But, he's had some monster games where he's been really efficient. And I do think, Todd, he's a very good passer. Mm-hmm. And so the attention he can garner there in the post, I think can put us in some better positions to get some better quality threes on the perimeter.
One final question, actually maybe a little bit of a two-parter here, Coach. Is there a guy that you've, as we sit here 8 games or so into the season, that you say, hey, this has worked out, or he's playing better than I thought he would, or he fits in our system even better than I thought he would? And then who's a guy maybe that you're thinking he's about ready to take off because he's kind of figuring it out?
Yeah, I think Jalen Reed has taken a big step forward. I think you've seen some really big games out of Jalen. He had a terrific offseason. You've seen him really improve his ability to finish at the basket. He's a very willing and able passer. Gives us some unique playmaking ability at that forward position. I think you'll see our guards. I think you'll see multiple guards play a lot better as the season goes on. I think we have several guys who are much more efficient offensive players and better or higher percentage shooters than what they've shown here early in the season. And that's my responsibility to make sure we're getting them some higher quality looks. And then I think Derek Fountain's a guy who, I sing his praises all the time. He's just a winner. He's about the right things. Unfortunately for him, he had a really challenging offseason where he missed a lot of time due to injury and illness. And I think as he's back healthy now, I think you'll continue to see his role increase with the team. A guy who had 26 points, 8 rebounds against the number 1 team in the country in a game last year. I think he'll really take off as the season progresses.
Coach, one more quick question.
Yes, sir.
Corey Chest, have you decided to redshirt him yet, or has that been the final decision?
Yeah, that is certainly not a final decision at this point. That's I think the direction it will go. We got hit with a little bit of a curveball here with Damian Collins' shoulder injury, mm-hmm. And don't have really a timetable on when he'll be back. I think there's no question Corey can help our team this year. I just don't know that it's going to be in a role that would be worth him not taking advantage of this year as a redshirt. And so I think that'll be the plan for now, but is always subject to change with injuries in college sports today.
Coach McMahon, thanks a lot for joining us tonight. Good luck this Saturday against Kansas State, and we'll talk to you later on in the year. Thank you very much.
All right, Jeff and Todd, thanks so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Jeff and Todd, for y'all's interview with Matt McMahon. I can't wait to watch this matchup Saturday between these two teams. Now I'm sitting with William Weathers, who, like I said, is the assistant editor of Tiger Rag, to talk about these Lady Tigers. How are you doing today, William?
Overcoming a back problem, but I'm okay. It's getting better.
As long as we're on the up and up.
Absolutely. Got to be ready for Sunday.
Now that we're a little more aware of who's all going to be on the court this game, with Angel Reese finally coming back, finding out that Samaya Smith will be out all season due to a knee injury, assuming that Poole is still not on the court because she hasn't been since the Southeastern game, 4 games ago, how are you feeling about this team lineup coming into the game Sunday?
Well, I tell you what, there were stretches in the second and third quarter of the Virginia Tech game where you could see that was a number 1 ranked team in the country that was supposed to be, and that they did have what it took to contend for another national championship. They were, again, not for 40 minutes, but in stretches, they look really, really good. And there were times where Angel got a 3rd foul in that particular game against Virginia Tech, and they still did well It was the first time that, because they played without her for 4 games, but this was the first time they played really real competition, the number 9 team in the country, and they did look really good. So I would say that I think a lot of people have if anybody had any inhibitions about how this team was going to succeed or not play with Angel back and how everything for that night was on one accord. They were helping each other off the floor. They were high-fiving each other. It was a great feeling that I'm sure everyone left with, because, as you know, they started and they're taking final exams this week. So that was their last game, and they left on a really good note.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was probably smart on Coach Mulkey's end to put Angel Reese out for a second to get the team adjusted. I mean, we've seen star players all season. Michaela Williams, the freshman, amazing. She comes out, dazzles the court. She has all season. We saw junior guard Anisha Morrow come out of the woodworks and dominate during the Cayman Island Classics. And, of course, I mean, the last game with Virginia Tech, Angel Reese stepping back in, 19 points, 9 rebounds. Michaela Williams registering 20 points on a 60% shooting. Junior guard Anisha Morrow collecting her 56th career double-double with 19 points and 12 rebounds, to go along with 2 blocks and 3 steals throughout the game. Knowing all of this and seeing all of this all season, I'm asking, who do you think is going to be the star player of the game this weekend?
You know what the beauty of this team may be is that we don't have to see some of the superlatives of a year ago where, like, for example, this is a team that averages 96 points a game, but they have 5 girls in double digits. In many, they're spreading the wealth better. Right now, Morrow, as you mentioned, had the great tournament in the Caymans, but she was a double-double machine at DePaul before she transferred. She's capable of carrying big numbers, which actually takes some of the brunt off of Angel's shoulders. And she can see, as I mentioned during that time when she was in foul trouble, they can function okay. There's other people like Michaela Williams who can score. Flagey is averaging double figures, and you're seeing a better, well-rounded game from her. Even Coach Mulkey mentioned last Thursday that if she didn't, and this is just the mindset that you have as a big scorer in high school, that if you're not putting up big numbers, you're not affecting the game, and that is not the case with her. She can defend, she can rebound, she can make the pass. So while she's scoring 10, 11 points a game, she's shooting 55, 56% from the floor. So she's taking good shots. She's maybe on the opponent's best guard because she can defend. She's long. So that's a tough question right now because I think there's a better sense of balance with this team where, again, Morrow, Williams, and Reese are all between 20 and 17, but then Haley Van Lith is at 13 and Flagey is at 10. So it's a great problem to have where you have so many people who can pitch in.
I'll say it again. It's almost like Kim Mulkey knows what she's doing whenever she picks these players. I mean, Morrow was a great grab for her. So is Haley. I think the team all around that she's got is very, like you said, well-rounded. You can take one person out and it's still almost the same team. They're still scoring, averaging 90 points a game. I think it's amazing. But just one last question before you go. Do you have a prediction for the game this Saturday? Or, I mean, and if you do, what are you thinking the LSU Tigers are going to put up against UL? Well,
I think this is the stretch when you're coming back off of finals, and there's an easy stretch. I say easy in terms of like there's no more ranked teams to play, and actually in the conference in SEC play, no one's ranked besides LSU and South Carolina. So that's even kind of down. So this is kind of a ramp up, back up because their first game is January 4th against Missouri. So UL Lafayette, McNeese, Northwestern, they're not going to really pose a huge problem for LSU, but you do have the, coming off the finals, and you have a different adjustment period where there's sometimes where they're off, and then once let's say Angels finish all our finals, it depends on people's schedules, how much can they practice, and then start getting in the gym. Probably, my guess is probably Friday, Saturday, depending on exam schedule. So it'll look a little rough in the beginning, I believe, and then I think that team we saw on last Thursday against Virginia Tech will start to show up again. Aaliyah Del Rosario is another girl who's benefiting because Samaya Smith's not going to play now. You're getting some minutes. She's a 6'6" girl who's got some development to go, but you can see. So she's going to benefit from games, I think, where they should be in hand, and you can get her some minutes along with like Janae Kent, another freshman, and Angelica Velez. So I think it'll be a comfortable, in excess of 20-point win, and I think that's going to be the common theme for the next couple of games and building up toward the Missouri game in January to lead off conference, where they'll have, by then, there'll be like 13 games in their belt and probably have a better feeling about where they're headed. But they're still trying to work Angel back into the rotations and get her back in the sequence of things. And again, for one night, it showed that she can fit in and be obviously an impact player.
All right. Well, thank you so much, William, for coming on today. I hope you have fun at the game this Sunday. I know you're going.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely.
People come from everywhere to Pawpaw's Campers and Cars.
All at Pawpaw's Campers and Cities, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars of people.
And we're going to let it go for I forgot.
Take the whole family over to Picayune. We got something for you. All right. What else we going to say?
PawpawsNicePrice.com.
That's probably all we need to say.
All right, that's it for today's episode. Thank you, Jeff and Todd, for y'all's interview with Matt McMahon. And thank you again to William for sitting down with me to go over women's basketball. Don't forget to tune in this Saturday at 12:30 for the men's basketball game against Kansas State, and then this Sunday at 2 p.m. for the women's matchup against UL Lafayette. But before we go, I got something special for you guys, a segment we're calling Extra Points, where Jeff runs a few rapid-fire questions by Todd. I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm Camryn Conner with Tiger Rag Audibles podcast. I hope y'all enjoy the show. Before we listen in to Jeff and Todd, I want to thank our sponsor, Pawpaw's Campers and Cars. That's pawpawsrvs.com, 1-800-728-CAMP, 1-800-728-2267.
Back in the day, I used to do a segment. I don't know why I stopped, but I did a segment called 4 Downs, maybe because it wasn't that original. But I want to bring it back tonight, because I got 4 burning questions for you, Todd.
Oh, good.
You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we only got a few minutes, so this is kind of rapid fire.
Yeah, and it's totally unprepared.
That was always the part of it. This isn't like ESPN where they actually rehearse it for hours before they get on the air and then they actually debate the issues.
All right, well,
all right,
prepare yourself.
Okay. Will Matt House be the defensive coordinator in 2024?
God, I hope not.
That's not necessarily the answer. I was looking for a yes or no, and why.
I think no, he will not.
Okay.
I think the timing right now is all based on the recruiting dead period, and they've got some outstanding recruits that he's probably involved with, and he's able to go sit down in the room right now and say, I'm still the coach, and we'd love to have you. And then
it's just so weird. So weird, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's how the business works. I'm starting, we heard Wilson Alexander saying he's hearing buzz that there's more of a chance that he stays than he goes, and there's been another media personality in this town that has said the same thing. I don't know if they're just repeating each other, but I'm going to go with my gut from what I've been thinking all year, that he will not be the defensive coordinator next year. But I'm not as convicted as I was when they got thrashed by Ole Miss earlier this season.
If you want to see a coach take a popularity dive, keep him and don't improve a 10 million %, and Kelly will feel the wrath of the fan base.
All right, we got to go quick here. Does LSU sign a quarterback in the transfer portal?
Yes.
Okay. I will say yes. But I'll say yes. We'll just leave it at that. All right. Angel Reese is back. Everyone seems happy. Is this it for the Angel Reese drama this season?
Yes.
She seems like she's clear-headed. I think she's ready. I think she needed a little kick in the rear end. But I have a feeling there's more drama coming.
But I don't think you'll see her suspended or not suspended again.
Okay. All right. Does LSU men's basketball beat Kansas State Saturday?
Yeah, when this LSU basketball team is playing good basketball, whenever they're defending well, they have an opportunity. They played an Elite Eight Kansas State team very close early in the season last year with much less of a strength of a roster. I think it all depends upon how Will Baker plays.